other journalists and historians, published a long-form piece in the New York Times Magazine. It was called The 1619 Project. First published in August 2019, the project marked 400 years since the beginning of slavery in America. The project was designed to make the consequences of slavery and the contributions of Black Americans a larger part of our national discourse. Nicole Hannah-Jones later developed that New York Times Magazine initiative into an award-winning book, also called The 1619 Project. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend that you do, or at least start with Hannah-Jones' first essay titled, "Our Democracy's Founding Ideals Were False When They Were Written. Black Americans Have Fought to Make Them True." The premise is not complicated, nor should it be divisive. It's simply true. The principle that every man is created equal was not remotely true when it was written by this country's forefathers. Hannah-Jones won a Pulitzer Prize for the project, but of course we all know that the story doesn't end there. A few months after Hannah-Jones won the prize, our then President Donald Trump sparked what would become a nationwide backlash against her work.
The left has warped, distorted, and defiled the American story with deceptions, falsehoods, and lies. There is no better example than the New York Times totally discredited 1619 Project. This project rewrites American history to teach our children that we were founded on the principle of oppression, not freedom. By viewing every issue through the lens of race, they want to impose a new segregation, and we must not allow that to happen.
Much better story than what was actually happening. Shortly thereafter, Trump issued a series of executive orders targeting the ideas specifically behind the 1619 Project. One of those executive orders established something called the 1776 Commission, which was a promise to implement what he called a, quote, patriotic education and the banning of so-called divisive issues like reckoning with the racist history of this country. President Biden repealed the 1776 Commission on his first day in office, but the ideas behind it remain alive and well and strong across this country. In the following couple of years after it was published, states would introduce at least 23 gag orders targeting the 1619 Project by name. Dozens more bills targeted it indirectly, usually by attempting to ban discussions of its core ideas. Other ideas how to think and talk about race in America got swept up into the battle as well. Last year, a study through UCLA found that including local efforts, anti-critical race theory measures have been introduced in every single state except for Delaware. The 1619 Project is not critical race theory in itself, but it inspired such broad backlash that almost any program, project, or theory about race came under attack. The effort to ban identity-conscious ideas and programs has led to the end of affirmative action. It's led to the widespread attacks on systems built to promote true equity, like diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Project 2025, the blueprint for a potential second term for Trump, funded by the Heritage Foundation, includes suggestions to eliminate critical race theory, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and other identity-conscious paradigms from education nationwide, from all federal departments, from as many parts of American life as it can. In fact, the whole MAGA agenda can be seen as an answer to the 1619 Project. It actively promotes the widely debunked idea that claiming color blindness is how we're actually going to achieve equality in this country. It discourages or even outlaws schools from teaching about systemic racism. It removes Black and Indigenous histories from curricula. It glosses over the darkest parts of our national history. It claims that encouraging people to consider race and systems of oppression is in itself a form of racial discrimination. Pretending that we can ignore race, pretending that we can ignore the anti-Black systems upon which this country was built is a disservice to us, and it threatens our democratic system at its very core.